Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Yvonne, a show for creatives and entrepreneurs. And for those of you who are new here, how you doing? I'm Yvonne Pearson, the founder of Pink Dollhouse Marketing. Thank you for listening and or watching on the YouTube. And this week, we're going to do our Marketing Magic episode. Again, for those of you who are new, we do it a little differently around here, right? Either you'll have an interview with a creative and entrepreneur who's changed the game in their industry, or we will do something called Marketing Magic. And if you follow me on social, you know that I do these from time to time. Marketing Magic is when I break down a popular trending topic or a campaign that's happening that you cannot get away from and talk about the marketing impact behind that project or that campaign. So what we're going to do this week is for our Marketing Magic episode. And if you see me looking down off screen, I'm looking at my notes because I'm a marketer. I got notes. We're going to talk about Pantone naming the color of the year, Ulta's innovative holiday campaign, Beyonce's official G.O.A.T status, and then Saweetie, Rich Tivity's, Saweetie, collab with Forever 21. So grab your coffee and let's chat. I got coffee. What flavor did I do this week? I'm tasting peppermint mocha. It's very Holi-YASS kind of energy. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We are here first for our first story. Pantone names Mocha Mousse color of the year. Now let's take a step back on that one, shall we? Mocha Mousse sounds delicious, don't it? It sounds like something you get at that one bakery or while you on vacation in Milan, which I have done. That sounds like I'm bragging, but it's not a flex. But it sounds like something you get while you're on travel. It sounds very gelato in the streets kind of energy. But to take a step back, this news announcement came from Pantone's website. So I officially got this information from their landing page. Pantone's Color of the Year program, it engages the design community and color enthusiasts in a conversation about color, highlighting the relationship between color and culture. Now, for those of you who don't realize it, Color of the Year influences a lot of different aspects of various industries, right? It influences fashion. It influences products. It influences even things like, future campaigns that might be around like beauty or things like that. So Color of the Year is a big deal for a rollout. Now, the color Mocha Mousse. I have never heard of this color, but as a mocha baddie myself, thanks, mama. Mocha Mousse, the theme around that is capturing a global mood of connection, comfort, and harmony. And considering what we have been through in 2024, I need Cat Williams to close the portal at this point because we are tired. Okay, but considering what we have been through in 2024, Mocha Mousse is going to be kind of like that essential calming effect, right? We're going to see it kind of like aligning with that whole quiet luxury feel, but with a little razzle dazzle. While black is always in style, Mocha Mousse will take that idea of warmer tones and bring that into different spaces. So you will see it in collaborations, like, for example, brands who are rolling out messaging around Color of the Year. Collaborations will post it. We see Motorola is going to roll out a special phone with the Mocha Mousse color. We also see Canva. Canva already started dropping product nods in their suite of assets around Mocha Mousse to encourage people to create content or deliverables that use that color palette. Then we see Pattern. Pattern's already been leaning into very much that very warm, neutral tones, but they already started rolling out product messaging on social media saying that they've been on this. They've been new to this. They are true to this. We also see Joybird. Joybird, for those who don't know, is essentially similar to Wayfair. They create affordable, not high-end furniture, but furniture that looks luxurious but at an affordable price. And then arguably so, Kim Kardashian's Skim and her collaboration with North Face. They recently dropped a collection, I think a day or so before the announcement for Color of the Year came out. If you look at that campaign, the colors very much mirror the Color of the Year. Now, if we were to take a step back to give her credit, she has been incorporating those warm, neutral tones into a majority of all of her collaborations, like with Beats. Now we see it with North Face and things like that. So she has been implementing this color of the year. I would not be surprised if she had a leg up in knowing what the trend was going to be leaning towards ahead of that announcement and plan strategically to make sure that her products were in alignment with that color story. So long story short, prepare to see this color everywhere from fashion to fitness in 2025. And for my girlies who are already up on the trends and notice that trends are, they go around in a circle. So noticing that things do make a comeback, pull out your warm tones, pull out your neutral tones. This might be the time to start looking for that camel color coat or a chocolate coat so you can already be up on what's going to happen in fashion for 2025. One of my favorite beauty retailers, Ulta. By the way, Ulta, if you're ever listening to the little podcast that could, hi, I love your product. I love what your brand stands for in terms of equity, inclusion, and representation. However, Ulta also is pushing the envelope on what advertising should look like around holiday campaigns. And as someone who is a marketer, I love following different trends. I love seeing how those trends connect the dots across the line. And what Ulta is doing with their holiday campaign, they're bringing season's greeting or holiday cheer through various messaging, right? This came from chainstorage.com. While that sounds like not a reputable website, I did take a look into it and they are reputable. And they gave a full breakdown about Ulta's holiday rollout for their campaign strategy. So, first up, Ulta has rolled out different segments of this campaign. And to take a further step back, if you are someone who does not work in a field, let me give you a little bit more context. A holiday campaign does not just start planning in, say, right after Thanksgiving, right? Essentially, the joke I always had when I was working on my holiday campaign is when the tree goes down, Santa goes up. Essentially meaning when the holiday season officially wraps in January, you start planning for holiday in that time period of Q1 or January through March. So essentially everything you're seeing right now with all these different brands rolling out holiday campaign messaging, they started that around the time the holiday either wrap or when it was starting to get hot outside, because you have to think through, what do we want our messaging to be? How do we want people to feel around this time of year? Also understanding that holidays can be a financial strain for some people. So you want to make sure whatever you're doing is being mindful of that and that you're not pushing it so much that you seem pushy in terms of what you're rolling out. So getting back to Ulta and their holiday campaign. So first up, they rolled out something called a holiday hotline. Hotline bling. Wait, can we do that? Do we cancel Drake officially? I need to call Kendrick, because I don't know if we could do that song no more. Anyway, the holiday hotline content, it featured notable celebrities, influencers, and even store associates who were sharing beauty tips on social media. And thinking about that too, leveraging your employees to help promote or amplify your holiday campaign brings more of a human effect to what you're doing in your messaging. A lot of times it can be seen that these corporations are very out of touch, that they don't know their employees, that they're not on the ground or, in the trenches with their team in understanding the consumer and what they want from an in-store experience. Ulta, however, has leaned into that idea of incorporating their store associates and making sure that they're part of the overall storytelling. The next thing they did was something called Joy on the Streets. Joy on the Streets was a kind of like a pop-up trivia social video series, which was hosted by Olympian Lori Hernandez. And I think this is really great. They also did this to take it back a step further in New York City. For those who know in the marketing space, New York City, LA, Chicago, sometimes the DC area where I am, and I'm actually in DC area. I'm in DC. I'm not we're not going to get into that. You can go to Washingtonian Problems if you want to hear that tea. Anyway, the launching of these initiatives in popular places like New York is very smart because you already have a place that's known for its trends. It's known for innovative concepts and things like that. So when they did this trivia on the street, it's creating kind of like that in-person engagement. That's what we call it in the industry. In-person engagement is when you're actually going to your customers face to face and talking to them. Because a lot of times us marketers lean on data, on research, on surveys, and things like that to tell us what the customer or the consumer wants in terms of products. When you go actually on the street to the people through pop-ups and in-person engagement, you are allowing yourselves, one, to connect with them on a different level, and two, make it feel more personal instead of you just sending them a coupon in the mail or by email. So the other thing they did, which I thought was really cool in terms of innovation, they partnered with Roblox. Roblox, for those who don't know, is kind of like this game that Gen Z and even some millennials, but Gen Z more specifically and Gen Alpha have really leaned into. And it takes the idea of, I think, coding and brings it into the video game space. So what they did, they partnered with Roblox to bring this virtual experience called House of Joy. And House of Joy featured brands in the promotion, including Bubble, Too Faced, and Juice Beauty. And it allowed for participating consumers to complete tasks and mini games to earn exclusive virtual avatar prizes. Now, for those who are like, well, I don't play Roblox. Why is there a point of me even, participating in that? That messaging was not really for us elder millennials. Lean into it. We are the elder millennials. It's okay. Just take your turmeric for your knees. You'll be fine. But this is more so for that new, that Gen Z audience who is now starting to turn into consumers who are spending their own money, or Gen Alpha who is now starting to lean more into the beauty space because of trends that they see on TikTok or other social platforms. By getting them where they're engaging in a virtual social space on a semi-daily basis, Ulta is now starting to build what we like to call brand loyalty. And brand loyalty, for those of you who don't know, think about the products around your house, right? Think about the products you use for cleaning, for food, products or stores that you just go to because you go to them. Brand loyalty for those products, brands, or stores was built a long time ago. Essentially, what you're doing is following the blueprint that your parents or an influential adult in your life has laid out for you in terms of the products that you consume, you use, and you buy. So what Ulta is doing in this space is, through the virtual reality platform, in my opinion, they are starting to build that brand loyalty very early with this audience, essentially. And by meeting them in a virtual space, which virtual reality or VR, AI, things like that will continue to evolve in years to come. And that sort of virtual marketing will also continue to evolve. They're starting to get in front of this potential consumer early. So when they're thinking about buying beauty products or starting their own personal beauty or skincare wellness journey, they're going to think about going to Ulta. Finally, they did a collaboration with Hallmark. Now, for those who love the Holi-YASS the way I do, I love a good holiday movie. Now, they may be a little cheesy. We all know how the plot goes. City girl leaves her high-ranking, high-paying job to go on a winter break in like a small town, or breaks up with a guy like the week before Christmas, blah, blah, blah. We know the plot, and we watch every single year. I watched 3 movies last night. And yes, I knew how it was going to end, but did I go, "Aw," at the end of it? Yes. Anyway, Hallmark and Ulta Beauty actually partnered together, which I think this is freaking brilliant. They teamed up to create 3 30-second mini movies spots using that Hallmark format, right? So what they did is, using the Hallmark format, which has like that kind of like that filtered glow kind of look, they showcase Ulta's Beauty's seasonal beauty products and salon services. And essentially what they did in that 30-second video, they created content that allowed for people to connect one of their favorite things with this time of the year, which is Hallmark and holiday movies, with the beauty mega giant Ulta. So essentially what they were doing with that product placement while they were telling the story, they were dropping little Easter eggs of products that they wanted you to shop either via their app or in store. I think this is one of the most brilliant ideas that I have seen come across my feed in a very long time around the holiday space. And thinking through what Ulta is doing in terms of still sticking to the principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and how they present their messaging, especially as we see other brands and stores lean away from inclusive messaging and spaces for people. I appreciate that Ulta is saying, we're not doing that. That's not who we are. We are beauty for everyone. So if you haven't seen them, I'll drop the link into this episode so you can go ahead and look at that full scope of that campaign. But I really appreciate Ulta Beauty for what they're doing and can't wait to see what they do next. Okay, I gotta take a sip of coffee for this one because we're getting into one of my personal faves. Argue amongst yourselves. Give me a second. That's definitely peppermint mocha. It's definitely peppermint mocha. Okay, Beyonce is named by Billboard as Performer of the 21st Century. This came directly from Billboard, so again, if you do not believe it, you can go right to Billboard. You can Google the Googles and find out for yourself. For fairness, it was a discussion on the social media if Beyonce did deserve the top spot. And Billboard had to come out and defend their reason why when they posted that Beyonce was named number one. I will get into my personal reasons. I will not get into Billboard's, but I will get into my personal reasons why she was number one for the 21st century in a moment. If we were looking at the top five, number one is Beyonce, 2, Taylor Swift, 3 is Rihanna, 4 is Lady Gaga, number 5 is Britney Spears. Now, this top 5 alone, let's give the women a round of applause for being named top 5 of the 21st century. Thinking through also this list, the latter half of it, with respect to the work that they have done, Rihanna has not released music in 10 plus years at this point, probably. I don't know. The last album was Anti, and that came out a hot minute ago. I can't even tell you at the moment. But she has remained culturally relevant in terms of what she's done with Fenty, in terms of what she's done with Savage, in building inclusion and changing the beauty and intimate apparel space. So Rihanna, I understand why she is number 3 on that list. Lady Gaga is someone that I have been listening to since I was in college. You could go ahead and do the math yourself, but let's just say the Fame, remember that song that she had? One of my favorite songs, Paparazzi. She definitely influenced the fashion space for a very long time. I was very much heavy in my Gaga era. I was very much into like the Alexander McQueen kind of look, the chunky boots, this, that, and the other. And I have seen Lady Gaga perform in concert. Phenomenal show. Britney Spears. While we have not seen music from Britney Spears in a very long time, we cannot deny that Britney Spears is still very influential in a lot of spaces. Britney Spears came out when I was in middle school, essentially, and remained relevant through most of my college career. She was relevant. But the fact that she has not released music in a very long time is up for debate because we all know what happened to Britney, right? But getting back to the top 2 on the list, Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Now, again, there are arguments that Beyonce does not deserve this top spot. I, again, speaking from a millennial perspective, I can speak to the fact that Beyonce is essentially like my era's Michael Jackson, right? And as someone who grew up on Michael, on Prince, on Donna, on Whitney, are you seeing a pattern here? Some of the greatest performers of all time. And shout out to my mama, by the way, for playing those songs on Sunday morning with the yellow broom while she cleaned the house. That boombox was on heavy rotation. But if we were looking at the impact and influence, there's a reason why Beyonce made that number 1 top spot on the list. I, as a creative, cannot think of anyone who has moved the needle forward and changed the game in so many ways like Beyonce has. Now, arguably, we can say someone else who, to me, is her peer, Usher. Usher has remained culturally relevant over time and also has, I would say, in the last few years or so made a resurgence back in his cultural relevancy. Before, we just respected Usher because he is Usher. Confessions, still one of the best albums of all time. He is still someone who I can think back in my childhood. There's not a time period that Usher was not included in the conversation when it came to music or creativity. However, if we look at who spans the gamut in breaking out from music in terms of music, creative direction, in terms of product development and things like that, Beyonce has done a great job. The artistry is there. Destiny's Child. Destiny's Child was the in vogue of my generation. To this day, when I hear say my name, I'm thinking about, sorry, mama, again, I'm thinking about me moving that furniture around, trying to hit them poses like they did in the video. To this day, Survivor, one of my favorite albums. Things like Destiny's Child have become the core music for a lot of us millennials for our upbringing, right? Destiny's Child was actually the second concert I ever went to ever. First one was NSYNC on their last tour. The second one was, again, Destiny's Child on their last tour, on their Destiny Fulfilled album tour. And for me to have been a baby beehiver because Destiny's Child and love all three members to evolve into being an affiliate member of the Beehive, code 94681444887. How you doing? I have respected the artistry and evolution of her work. When we think about that creative evolution, what she did, Dangerously in Love, of course, as her first solo project, but I'm going to talk about B-Day. B-Day for me is when my ear fully turned up. I said, now, wait a minute. Something is truly there, because before, loved her music, but B-Day had me fully reined in. I actually have most of Beyonce's albums on vinyl. That's how big it is for me in terms of the music. B-Day, when we were at the clubroom parties in college, we were all doing the moves. We were all trying our best to walk like Naomi Campbell up and down the clubrooms. Thinking about things like that she did in terms of the fashion conversation, right? House of Darion, as she did with her mom as a brand that was in Macy's for quite a while. The things that she did with, let's think about even further. Actually, her first ever single, if we took it back even further, Crazy in Love. You cannot tell me to this day, any wedding, any party that you go to, Crazy in Love comes on, no one knows that dance. Everybody knows that dance. Everybody knows, now if we try to do that now, millennials, please be mindful of your back. You can't like you used to but we were all uh-ohing. We were all strutting up and down the street trying to do that walk in the beginning of the video. And then as time has evolved, with respect to the fact that she is now a wife and a mother, and she is also 43 years old. You're not doing the same level of work at 43 that you were doing when you were in your teens or 20s. So of course she has slowed down, but the artistry has evolved. So the number of projects she has come out with have slowed down over the years, but they have been more thought through. They have been more intentional in what she is doing. Lemonade should have won Album of the Year, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion. Visually stunning from a storyteller perspective. I love the fact that Beyonce has managed to not only challenge the way that we think about music, but challenge the way we think about, from a marketing perspective, rollouts and creativity. Yes, the status quo is great, but what can you do to make it better? What can you do to push the envelope? What can you do to make people go, okay, I need to step up my game? That's why I think I hold her to such a high regard as a creative. Music, I love the music, but creative, I'm true hive when it comes to the creative. Musically, I'm an affiliate Beehive member. I already read you my member number. But creatively, respect for that woman on the absolute highest level. Because the way her mind works, I even have, and if you follow me on social media, studied the various tactics that she's done around Renaissance, around her product drops. I have done marketing magics on social media, breaking those things down because I think I need people to understand why it's so impactful. And as a creative, when I'm even thinking through the work that I'm doing, I'm thinking, okay, am I doing this because I'm expected to do it, or because I want to do it, or because I want to change the game with what I'm doing? And essentially, it's the latter. I want to change the game with what I'm doing. I want to think through the process. I also want to bring people in to my inner circle who think on a similar level that I do and who also understand why I want to push the envelope, right? Then let's go into an underrated album. And I know I skipped over Self-Titled. We all know Self-Titled. We know what happened on that night. We know World Stop. Carry on. Black is King. Y'all didn't give Black is King his flowers. Y'all didn't give Black is King his flowers. You didn't. I know it came out around the time of the pandemic. I totally get that. But Black is King, if I still have my Disney Plus subscription, because I did have to cut it off, it was getting too expensive with them platforms. But Black is King, beautifully done from a storyteller perspective, and understanding that she was so intentional, as she always is, with the hair, the makeup, the people involved on the production side, everything. She made sure the story that was being told was a holistic story that deserves a number one spot. Because someone who has cultural impact on the level that Michael Jackson has had from my mama and them generation is intentional about what they're doing, right? Black is King does not get the flowers it deserves from a visual album perspective and from an album perspective. It is beautifully, beautifully done. And then finally, we have, in terms of creative evolution, Homecoming. Sometimes, y'all, I watch Homecoming just to get inspired. Because even though it was about her being the first Black woman to headline Coachella, I watch Homecoming to see the creative process unfold in real time. And I just love the fact that seeing her look at, the way the stage is set up, ask the questions, thinking through, bring people in who are subject matter experts of what they do, but also understanding what their job is. So if she has a question and they don't know the answer, she can find out as well, and then send her people to get what she needs because she has a vision, right? Homecoming, to this day, I watch it for inspiration. I admire the work that it takes to get there, but I also understand the pressure on two-sided thing as a creative, as a strategic creative, and then also as a Black woman, what it takes to lead at that level. Even at my level of leadership, there are some days I call up my mom and I have to vent. Thank God for therapy, because I don't want to put everything on her. But there are days where I am frustrated and I'm at a senior manager level, right? I can only imagine how frustrated she is when she is giving people direction on what she wants and they're not listening to her, or they're doubting that she understands what she's talking about. I can't even imagine what it takes to perform at that high of a level. And then if we're looking at moving away from creative evolution to cultural moments, now we can talk about Self-Titled. Self-Titled changed everything, right? It changed the way people drop music. It changed the way people talk about their projects. It changed what a rollout looks like. And if we want to call a spade, arguably, I would have to say Kendrick Lamar, who in my mind, y'all, that's her work husband. We know Jay-Z, her real husband, but Kendrick, that's her work husband. Kendrick is following the blueprint or advice of Beyonce in how he's thinking through his own project rollouts. Because GNX, which if you haven't gotten your tickets for Kendrick, go ahead, hop on that. You're going to want to see this concert. It'll be my second time seeing Kendrick. It's worth it, I'm telling you. But Kendrick Lamar is looking at his project from an artist and creative standpoint similar to Beyonce. And the fact that they are friends in real life is also helpful, because he probably leans on her for advice on how to think things through and how things should be done for longevity in the industry. And then again, cultural moments. We have Homecoming. Homecoming inspired meme after meme and inspired think pieces and inspired anything you could think of. And then the Renaissance tour, for someone who was at the Renaissance tour, for someone who the Renaissance album is still number one on my Apple playlist, with my wrap up for 2024. Renaissance, from an album perspective, is one of my absolute favorite Beyonce albums, with the understanding that it pays homage to the dance or house scene, which started in Black and Brown communities, but taking a further step back, LGBTQIA plus in queer communities. It was a safe space. It was a safe space for people to be themselves, to show up as their authentic self. And though it has been whitewashed over the years, at its core, house music is a cultural staple in our community. And the fact that she paid homage to that by bringing in creatives and performers who are part of that ballroom cultural scene, I have the highest level of respect for that. I am still a little salty by the fact we never got visuals, and she told us, you are the visuals, baby. And I said, okay, well, could have been a memo, maybe an Instagram post to let us know that ahead of time. But the fact that she inspired in that world tour a whole trend for chrome and silver, to the note that fashion houses and different brands were scrambling to pull any inventory that they had that was chrome and silver, because that's usually associated with the holiday. She broke the rules yet again. When Beyonce started rolling out the looks for her tour, and even the album cover itself, people were already starting to put the pieces together that chrome and silver were going to be the look for the tour. And people knew what to do. The way that she communicates with her audience, which most of the time ain't communicating, because Beyonce don't talk to us. She don't talk to us. It's fine. We got Mama Tina. We follow Mama Tina for a reason. Mama Tina tell us everything. It's perfectly fine. But the fact that she was able to visually communicate a message to her audience without saying a word, that is impact. That is power. And yes, we do understand that in the social media era that people can want more from the celebrities that they follow. They want more in terms of knowing every single intimate notion of their life. She comes from more of an old school playbook, in which the talent is a talent. That's what I'm going to lean into. If I choose to share my life, I choose to share it. Yes, that may work for her now, but considering the way that the social media space is moving, if Beyonce were to come into the space today, it wouldn't work. She would have to do a lot more to talk to her audience like how Rihanna does. Rihanna talking to everybody every day. She don't care. She is who she is, and she still has her navy behind her. Respect. Last note. In terms of Beyonce versus Taylor, I understand that each fan base is very popular, but there's no need for women to tear each other down. Beyonce and Taylor Swift are both talented at different levels. Taylor Swift is talented as someone who's able to, as a songwriter, as someone who also has cultural moments and things like that in the pop music space or folklore space, the Taylor space. Beyonce is talented as someone who's been in the game for a majority of my lifetime. Again, I've been listening to her since I was 13, 14 years old, right? I'm 37. Think about that. 13, 14 years old to 37. This woman has been musically in my life from my teenage years to young adulthood to womanhood. While Taylor Swift represents that for a younger generation, she doesn't represent that for me. And also, in thinking through cultural relevance, Beyonce, we have seen her go from a young woman to a mother and a businesswoman. Taylor Swift, we're around the same age. Taylor Swift, I think, is like 30-something. In terms of pushing the envelope musically, I don't think I've seen it. I think I've seen her push out similar products year over year over year. And also, I really haven't seen on the music side her fully lean into her full womanhood. It still feels very sometimes immature to me, but I'm not her fan base. Her fan base stands 10 toes behind her. I think the reason why I enjoy Beyonce's music so much is because she has evolved the way we have evolved. And while Taylor can sell out stadiums, while she has the numbers, I can't think of cultural moments that make me go, Taylor Swift did that. Taylor Swift is the reason why we do that now. That's the reason why Taylor Swift is who she is in terms of pushing the envelope. Numbers wise, influence wise, Taylor got that. She got that. Cultural wise, impact wise, icon wise, it's Beyonce. Argue amongst yourselves. All right, so that was a very long. Was that a rant? I don't know if that was a rant. But we only have a few minutes left because this is supposed to be a mini, so I did not mean to go on a full tangent about Beyonce. But again, I have been locked in since I was 13, 14 years old. Our last story is about Saweetie, my fellow crab, my fellow Cancer, Rich Tivities. Saweetie, as much as people want to criticize her music, that woman is smart. She turned criticism into collaboration. One of her latest songs that she did, she teased a track called Nani in March, right, early this year. And once the clip was shared online, some users brushed it off as retail music. Now, taking a step back, y'all can criticize things and call it retail music all you want, but thinking through from a campaign perspective, something that is commercial in terms of easy listening, something that could be used across platforms, brands love that because it has viability, right? It has the ability to implement it into their messaging without being overly offensive or something like that. So you can call it retail music. I call it a bag. I call it smart. I call it strategic. So while people were criticizing her, Saweetie was getting into her bag. And this story came from Uprocks. And they talked about the fact that Saweetie has now launched a collaboration for the holiday season with Forever 21. For my elder millennials out there, you remember Forever 21. You remember when we were up in there buying those $3 t-shirts, those little bandage skirts and stuff like that for the club. We in the club, we all family. But Saweetie realized that, okay, you can criticize me, but I'm going to turn this into a business opportunity. And for those of you who don't know, Saweetie actually has her degree in communication. So I see you, sis. And this is smart on her part because she understands that cultural relevance doesn't always translate into longevity with just music. It has to be different brands of streams of income in order for you to stay relevant, right? So what she has done with this Forever 21 collaboration, she dropped a teaser on her social media in collaboration with Forever 21, showing her first in the car and little pop-ups of people's feedback about the song, calling it retail music, or that they will hear the song playing in Forever 21, trying to downplay her hard work. Saweetie, being the petty little Cancer crab that she is, which I ain't mad at you, sis. Saweetie gets out the car and she starts walking, and you see little teaser of these posters in the background, or these banners, in-store banners, are highlighting the collaboration between Saweetie and Forever 21. And it's such a cute video because she doesn't say much. She's not clapping back or nothing, in a mean way. She's pretty much saying, thank you for inspiring my next check. I appreciate you. And to wrap it up with a big bow, this is not the first time that Saweetie has done a collaboration. She has done collaborations with McDonald's. Remember the Sweetie Meal when people were making fun of her food choices? She turned that into a bag. She did one with Champion, the athletic brand, as their first global culture consultant. She did one with Crocs and Hidden Valley Ranch. And you're like, huh? Yes. She did a special collection of charms inspired by Hidden Valley Ranch, another thing that she uses on her very unique food combinations. She did one with MAC Cosmetics, Pretty Little Thing, and Kiss Cosmetics, which I think she did one with like Edge Booster in different colors or something like that, Edge Control. But this is all being said is, I think we need to start realizing that Saweetie, while you may not love her music, you gotta love her business mindset, because that girl is staying relevant and staying paid by taking criticisms, turning them into collaborations, into a check. You go, Glen Coco. Okay. So that is everything I have for you today. I know we went a little over time. But we had to dive a little bit deeper into some of our topics. However, I hope you enjoyed today's chat. To learn more about me and my business, go ahead and visit pinkdollhousemarketing.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You could slide into my DMs. That's cool. Or if you want to follow me on my personal account on IG, it is, and do not read me for this, I know the name is long. It is Yvonne _creative _marketer _ I will drop that into the show notes so you can know where to find me. If you want to find me on TikTok, aka the Clock app, go ahead and find me under at Pinky Creates. I can't wait to chat with you soon. Our next episode and our last episode for the year before I go on winter hiatus, because I need a break. I need a break. Will be our annual group chat episode in which we wrap up 2024 with the topics that were trending all year. Now, some of them we're going to avoid because I don't want to get into that, but you know who I'm talking about. Couple of, I don't want to talk about it, but that group chat episode will have Coffee with Yvonne correspondents Courtney Pope and Jasmine Smith, aka my Pudding Pop, joining me for coffee as we chat and get a little shady with a sprinkle with some razzle dazzle around marketing topics that made the list for the year. I can't wait to chat with you soon. Thank you so much for joining me for coffee, and have a fabulous week, darling. Okay, bye! Coffee with Yvonne is produced and edited by Yvonne Pearson. Coffee with Yvonne is created by Pink Dollhouse Marketing. You can catch the latest episodes by subscribing to Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.